All right, so we are going to look at the three great unifiers of modern Japan, the founding fathers of modern Japan. But before that, we need to lay the groundwork. Japan had an emperor, and the emperor was highly respected and was a powerful living symbol, but he had very little real political power. The daimyos were the head of the noble families. They often warred with each other over power and territory. Serving the daimyo were the samurai. They were the warriors of Japan. They were expected to be educated and well mannered. They were expected to be absolutely loyal and to put their honor before their lives, as demanded by their code of honor called Bushido. Bushido. If they brought great shame upon their family or daimyo, they were often expected to commit seppuku, seppuku, or ritualistic suicide. The goal of these daimyos was to achieve the title of shogun. If a daimyo achieved this title, it would mean he was the military leader of Japan, and the other daimyos would be under his authority. The first of the three great unifiers was Oda Nobunaga. He took advantage of the arrival of the Europeans and began to use guns in combat. He conquered around 1/3 of Japan. The second great unifier was Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He was actually born a peasant. He joined Nobunaga's army as a regular foot soldier, and over the years rose through the ranks to become one of Nobunaga's generals. He took over where Nobunaga left off. He almost completely united Japan and even invaded Korea. He would never achieve the title of shogun, though, because technically he was still a peasant. The third and final of the three great unifiers was Tokugawa Ieyasu. He defeated Hideyoshi's heir and achieved the title shogun and began the Tokugawa shogunate. Europeans began to arrive in Japan, as mentioned earlier, and the Europeans were impressed with Japanese culture and learning. Soon Christian missionaries began to arrive. One of the most important missionaries was Francis Xavier. He encouraged his fellow Jesuits, a kind of Catholic missionary, to adapt to Japanese culture. This caused divisions among the missionaries, because some missionaries did not think you should adapt to the local culture. Some of the Christians began to cause trouble. Some Christians destroyed local shrines. Hideyoshi prohibited or banned Christian activities. Ieyasu reinforced the ban on Christians and began to actively persecute them. He banned all Europeans except for the Dutch, and they could only come to an island off the coast of Nagasaki. Japan will remain isolated for the next 200 years. Tokugawa rule is sometimes called the Great Peace. During this time period, Japan was divided into Hans, and each was ran by a daimyo. To control the daimyo, Ieyasu put into place the hostage system. In the hostage system, the daimyo has two homes, one in his Han and one in the capital of Edo, modern-day Tokyo. While away at his Han, his family stays in Edo. If the daimyo rebels while away, the daimyo's family is punished. This kept the daimyos from rebelling. During this time period, many samurai become managers of their daimyo's lands. Some samurai become ronin, or masterless samurai. Many samurai slip into poverty because there's no wars for the warriors to fight during the Great Peace. There were other economic changes as well. During the Great Peace, the merchant class grew in wealth and influence. Even though they could become quite wealthy, they were still on the bottom of the social structure. Like in China, merchants were not respected. Technically, a peasant farmer outranked a merchant. The Tokugawa era could be hard on them, though, because of high taxes and prices. Japan had a very rigid class system. You could not move up or down in class. On top, you had the emperor. Beneath him, you had the warrior class. This is your shogun, your daimyo, your samurai, and your ronin. Beneath the warriors are your peasant farmers. Beneath the farmers are your artisans, your craftsmen. And on the bottom are your merchants. Now, outside of the class system were the outcasts, the eta. They're so low, they're not even part of the class system. The eta often performed jobs the Japanese deemed religiously unclean, like handling dead bodies, preparing them for burial. Japan, like China, was a male-dominated society. The role of women was that of wives and mothers. Peasant women also had to help work the family farm. Noble women were expected to live up to the same high standard of honor as men. Art and culture flourished during the Tokugawa era, especially in the major cities like the capital of Edo, modern-day Tokyo. A popular form of poetry called haiku was developed. They were short poems that often dealt with nature and had a certain number of syllables per line. The most famous of these poets was Matsuo Basho. Theater also thrived during this time period. A new kind of theater was developed that catered to the common class, called kabuki. Kabuki is known for its costumes, exaggerated movements, makeup, and that all characters, including females, are played by males. The Tokugawa government was afraid that the female kabuki actresses were corrupting the morals of the people, so they banned them from performing kabuki. But the plays were so popular and made so much money that males stepped in to play the female roles, a tradition that continues to this day.